Before I dive into this, I want to say up front that I am not the biggest Amazing Digital Circus fan.
You what?
I'm not saying this show is bad. I am saying I am a casual viewer. I just got into this series about 2 months ago. So for all you OG fans, take whatever I say with a grain of salt. Please! This might be a bit of a rant too, so just bear with me. As you know, the Amazing Digital Circus has ended. And a lot of people are just saying how it was such a great ending and it was spectacular and a lot of them cried. And to that I say, I don't know. I watched the ending. It didn't really do it for me. Was it a bad ending? No. So let's rewind to episode 8. Phenomenal, might I add. I think it's still the best episode of the entire season. We see Kane and how broken he really is as an AI, and he thinks humans are wrong because they don't understand or appreciate what he does. And because of that, we see him just torture everyone within the circus. He basically did a 180, and I'm loving it. And you know it's based off the book, I Have No Mouth, I Must Scream. So the fact that he was torturing the individuals at the circus and how, in a sense, he seems like he's taking pleasure in doing this, it was very similar to the book, and I loved it. We find out that Kinger worked for CNA and how he created Kane. And I'm like, okay, we're actually getting some lore and exposition. Awesome. And then Kane dies, and then the next episode happens. And then Jack's abstracted. Okay, which I don't have a problem with. I mean, we all saw that coming. Like, we're then taken onto a whole almost 25-minute sequence of Jax and Ribbit and Cosmo. Half of the episode was almost entirely dedicated to Jax. And as you know, each episode before this was catered towards one of the circus members. The gun episode, I say, was more towards Ragatha. The mansion episode was towards Kinger. The fast food episode was more towards Gangle. But you see what I'm getting at, right? Why is the last episode dedicated towards Jax? Some of you might say I'm not the target audience. There are some people that are saying, oh, this is what Jax represents within this community or that community. I can understand that to a certain extent. But just because something is targeted towards a certain audience doesn't mean that the other audience that isn't targeted to won't understand it. For example, Avatar: The Last Airbender, targeted towards kids, but adult themes. I bring up Jax because everything that we saw for almost a whole 25 minutes of his sequence with Ribbit and everything else, what was that for and what did he lead up to? We all knew that Jax had problems. Everyone in the circus has their own individual problem, but we don't get a 25-minute sequence for everyone else. And by no means is it a bad thing. It just all led to nothing. And sure, he opened up about how he pushed his mom and how whenever he opened up to someone, or, you know, I get it. But it all didn't lead to anything. We already knew that he hates opening up. That entire sequence didn't recontextualize or give us any more information about Jax as a character. Because even after the lore that we got with Jax within that entire episode, he's still a misunderstood character. How can you give that much lore to a character and still give us an underwhelming feeling of who we think this character is? Again, this is my opinion on Jax. In conclusion, I feel like the Jax sequence dragged on a little bit too long for no reason because nothing was paid off. But I can respect the fact that it was no happy cliche ending of Jax not being unabstracted and him staying abstract. I can respect that. Now, Kane. I really liked Kane throughout this entire show. To me, he was the most interesting character. I love the cliche concept of AI going rogue. Throughout the show, we see bits and pieces of Kane glitching or not understanding his purpose. And I like that. And then with episode 8, we see the mask drop and him torturing the members of the circus. He does an entire song saying, I'm the one who's running the show. My house, you're gonna play by my rules. I love that. He felt like a genuine threat that the circus members were afraid of. No one wanted to be on his bad side. And during episode 8, you never knew what he was going to do next. Then at the end of the episode, when he's saying, why do you torment me? We're shown that Kane is the one who feels like he's trapped, not them. He's also in this position because he doesn't understand the complexity of human emotions. How could he when he's an AI? And then Kinger's fat fingers deleted him. And then you're like, oh, well now what? Just for him to come back at the end of episode 9 and realize what I did was a bad thing. I was wrong. Please don't be mad. Like, huh? And then it's come to reveal that people in the circus are just digital copies of their mind files of the real life versions who are still out there living. And they have to make the best of the situation. And Kane's just like, the worlds are open. I'm gonna be more understanding. Don't be mad at the fact that I tortured you guys. I can't get jiggy with that tune. I liked Kane for what he was almost the entire show. And then the last 15 minutes, they kind of dropped that. And I must bring up the whole CNA company and Kinger that worked for it and that he invented Kane. They didn't even explore that. I feel like they could have done more with that, but they didn't. And I know a lot of you are gonna say, again, do I think it's a bad show? No. Do I think that should have been the season finale? No. It kind of felt more like an epilogue than a finale. I think they should have done some things differently. I think they should have explored more with Kinger and Kane and CNA, the company, and all that was explored for the last 2 episodes with 7 and 8. So having someone at the circus that created Kane is like hiring your manager and then working under him. And I think that's a cool concept they could have explored, but they didn't. But that's just my take. Again, I am not the hugest Amazing Digital Circus fan. I am a casual viewer. And everything I'm saying is from a casual viewer standpoint. So don't take any of this personally. And I might be missing some points that I don't see because I'm not a hardcore fan. But that's just my take. And I hope you liked it. If not, I'm sorry. Peace. You heard me.